I mean, it's stressful with the IT. Okay, we will begin with the karakia, kia hui mai, and it will come up on the screen so we can all say it together. Welcome to those who are on live stream today and watching us on YouTube. Right, kia hui mai. Whakataka
Te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tōna, kia mākina kina ki uta, kia mātara tara ki tai, e he ake ana te atakura, i teo, te huka, hei hou, tihei, maurora.
Kia ora, thank you for that, everybody. Now looking around at staff and there's nobody saying it's not working yet, so we will continue. We'll start off with apologies. Luana may be late today. I understand she's had to dash a pet to the vet, so we're wishing her well with that. And we have Howard on Zoom today. He may be late.
Need to move it? Yeah, sure.
Lauren, second. Kathy, all in favour?
Aye.
Right, that's carried. Thank you. Declarations of interest. As always, if you know of a declaration of interest from the agenda today, we can put that forward now. If not, if it comes up at the time, make sure it's declared or stated as we're talking about it. Thank you very much. Confirmation of previous minutes. I haven't moved for that. Please. Gillian, a seconder. Kathy, all those in favour?
No.
Against? That is carried. Thank you. We're moving on to our public forum. We're just going to do one last little check with our staff to make sure. All right, we'll keep moving ahead. We have got from Akaroa Salmon, Rebecca is online. Thank you for joining us today. And we've got, is it Duncan and Morris? Rebecca, can you please say hello so that we know that everything's working there?
Kia ora, everyone.
Kia ora, good to see you. Thank you for that. Come on up, is it Duncan? Come on up to the front. The table is yours.
Is the PowerPoint going to come up on the screen?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Is that the camera there?
That is the camera, but if you just sit, you're welcome to sit, or if you want to stand, it's your choice.
Okay.
Need that as well. Come on, camera.
I'll come this up, yeah.
Aim it this way.
Point it towards me.
This is, yeah, that's tricky. The screen is there, but where it works is here.
Is it turned on?
Okay, this next page would be good. So, my name's Duncan Bates. I'm the managing partner of Mockfruna. And I'm leading a group, to scope out and identify suitable locations within Rākaihautū Harbour to develop wharf infrastructure suitable for aquaculture. Currently, we operate out of off the Wainui Wharf when weather conditions allow. When weather conditions don't allow, we operate from the main wharf at Rākaihautū. And when the redevelopment of the main wharf in Rākaihautū commences, and weather conditions don't allow us to operate out of Wainui, we're a little bit homeless. Improved wharf infrastructure in the harbour will be critical to support any future aspirations for aquaculture growth. Rākaihautū, we have 2 settlement areas in the harbour located with what I term as Red Rock. Yep. And they're considering their options there. They have indicated to MPI that they wish to develop marine farms there as opposed to a monetary return for those sites. Recently, the Nuku Runanga are partnering with an international company called Blue Kelp to develop seaweed farming in the harbour. So we've undertaken quite a lengthy study to scope out what we believe is the best location for such a development. And we've identified the old site where the Tika Bay will. What's the proper name of it, Morris? Sorry? Ojai. Yeah.
So the bay over from like Pātaka.
It's the bay just directly south of the Tika Bay. It's where the old munitions shed exists.
Yep.
There's an existing breakwater, and there's still remnants of the old wharf. Unfortunately, the wharf was deconstructed. I'm unsure when, but that was done some time ago. And we're seeking engagement with people, stakeholders, in order to be transparent around what we're trying to achieve. So just a bit of background on what I've been doing. So my father and I set up the salmon farm in 1986, and we've been working away at that. And like I say, you know, in recent times we've partnered with 2 iwi, with Nuku Runanga by way of Ngātau and Ngāti Pro Seafoods. We operate 2 sites in Lucas Bay and Tūtaki Bay on the south side of the harbour. I employ 87 and full-time and part-time staff. We are often recognised for the products that we produce, and the partnership with the 2 iwi, in particular Anuku, you know, our philosophies around sustainability and intergenerational operations. There's a lot of synergies in that. That's one of the main reasons why 2 iwi chose to partner with us. So, as I've said,
Next slide.
next slide, yeah. As I've said, we're slowly increasing our productivity using breeding programs and more effective use of our water space out there, new feed innovations, using sustainable and innovative protein and fat products, pen rotation. So as well as increasing our production, we're also lowering the impact we have on our benthic. We conduct quite a rigorous monitoring program by an independent science provider course run each year, and we're very happy with the outcomes there. Actually, you've jumped a slide. If you just go back. That's it. Yeah, as I've mentioned, Ngātau are considering ways to progress their application to develop marine farms in their aquaculture settlement sites, and Kelp Blue have partnered with Anuku, and they're currently operating a couple of pilot farms in regards to growing seaweeds. So obviously, as these ventures progress, to continue to use the Wainui Wharf, which is essentially recreational wharf, although back in the day it was be considered a commercial wharf because they used to load wool out of there. But nowadays it's essentially a recreational wharf. And even though we operate well with the community over there and use it at times when it's not generally used by recreational users, any growth in agriculture would make that extremely challenging. Yeah. Next one. Next slide, please. Right. Back. Yeah, as I've just said, really, Wainui Wharf is really designed for recreational use.
So you're not talking, you've got about 2 minutes.
Two.
2 minutes.
Right. Okay, so essentially, basically what I've identified is we need some sort of long-term solution. So Taki Bay is the place that we've identified as a suitable place to operate from. And we believe we would have benefit for not only aquaculture use, but also for Morris and Co, amongst the trust that exists over there. We would need to develop new access down into and we believe the site will be enhanced. Certainly the asbestos in that building would be removed as part of the development. Yeah. So I think I'm missing a page, but please, yeah. So next steps forward, we're talking to the Ministry of Primary Industries and their agribusiness funding to try and progress the design and work towards a consent application. And eventually we'll put together a working group which involves all the stakeholders and hopefully the councils and what have you, so that we can make some transparent and productive decisions moving forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Questions?
Yes, we've got a little time for questions, if that's okay.
Yep. I've got a couple.
Yep, I do.
Firstly, I think it's fantastic in supporting agriculture. I know it's one of the biggest growth areas in the country. I think you guys are doing a great job out there. Oh, the old wharf. Talk about the old wharf, because I mean I've been down to Kikau Bay a lot all my life, but the old wharf that was out in front of the old munitions store,
Yes.
was it?
Yes.
So that would have been built during the war as well, I suppose.
I'm not sure who built it, Morris.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
It was,
the Americans built it, yeah.
Yeah, I've represented the owners, well, my cousin, yeah. The war was taken from my great grandfather.
Yeah, I know.
During the war, of course.
They left you with a whole pile of asbestos.
Wine sweepers, as you're aware of.
Yeah,
The government of the day held on to it to 1980.
yeah.
And when they decided to move, the logistics of moving that big shed apparently were too difficult. But they were told to decommission the wall and the slipway.
Okay.
They used to bring the boats up, whip the motor out, these big gantries in that shed. They said it took them like minutes to do. They were that good.
So where's the money coming from for this?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to put in another road, that's what you're saying.
Well, it's
So the road, eventually I'm really hoping that it's going to come from regional development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I think Tyrone's got a question. Well, that'll be the last question.
Two questions actually. Hi, Duncan. Again. One's been answered, which is that new access, because obviously the road into Kikau Bay would be insufficient for any heavy transport. I think that's been correctly identified. The other one is just in terms of in poor weather and berthing at Akaroa Wharf. Would the proposed redevelopment of which one's the one next to the, is it Delhi's?
Yeah.
Is it where that means?
They call it Drummond.
Drummond, sorry.
Drummond.
Yeah, no, so we had a conversation with Paul about that. It hasn't got the capability
Right.
to take the weight that we
And
want.
access
that
to,
makes sense, yeah.
you got to get.
It would have been really good if we were engaged in that process, but we weren't. So bit of a fait accompli.
Alrighty, okay.
Great, thank you. That sounds like a very exciting venture, and let us know what else we can do. And so the community will look for you guys in the future. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time. Let's welcome up next. We've got Keith and is it Victoria? You're separate. In regards to the Akaroa visitor information, yes. Come on up. Oh, and Kerry. All right.
You're the head.
Can I just clarify, are you speaking all together?
Yes.
Okay, so you've got 5 minutes if you're all together. Or would you like to do it separately?
Well, then I'll do it separately, but I'll let you.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
much. Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers.
You're gonna pass it. Well, thank you for the time of addressing you today. And firstly, I'd like to thank the Community Board and Council for their support in reestablishing the post office back into the service center. It's been a huge boon, I think, for the community, and I've talked to the ladies and they said they're very, very busy. So thank you for your support in doing that. It's back where it belongs, and it's going to be stable and hopefully unmovable for the long-term future. So thank you. I've been talking to Keith and Kerry for some time now about the loss of the eyesight. And what we'd like to propose is a very, very simple volunteer structure of a desk in the service center to provide visitors with basic information and just to say hello. Akaroa and the Outer Bays really survive on visitors coming to the area where the money actually circulates through the township instead of going overseas. It actually benefits the local community. And basically, with so many visitors coming in, they naturally come to this building, thinking that it's got an information desk. And back many years ago, there was a very strong structure at the Akaroa Library of volunteers who would come in as far as Lavricks Bay to spend a couple of hours and socialize with everybody and help the librarians. That provided a core structure for many, many people. It enhanced their lives, they contributed to the community, and it was dissipated under Christchurch City Council and then dissolved. And there are many people within Akaroa who are totally capable who would like to make that kind of contribution as a volunteer. And what we'd like to suggest is that there be a trial, a very simple desk. There's basically no cost involved, with a telephone and maybe a secondhand computer and a rack for some brochures. Basically, you know, you have thousands of people coming to Akaroa. It's just being nice to them, it's being courteous. So it could eventually become a much more established enterprise. But right now, we're basically thinking very small, very basic on a volunteer basis. But we have no facility like that. And even Little River has a visitor information center. Having something like that in Akaroa, a little desk, then you can start to link up with Littleton and with other communities around the peninsula, provide information that is consistent and beneficial to visitors to the area. So basically, I think that's all I wanted to say. And I'm not directly involved. I'm just basically supporting ADP. I just think it's a really good idea.
Okay.
As a non-ADP member.
Is this ADP's proposal?
It's coming from the community, really.
Conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation. It's not a proposal. It's just, we recognize a need, a gap.
How about we save questions for the very end?
Yeah. Okay.
Just in case Keith answers some of the questions
Yeah.
that we have. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, great.
So I'm on.
You're on.
Thank you. My address today starts with a quiz.
then there'll be a prize given, and then there will be some points made. So the quiz, are you ready? Where do we find the Russian Orthodox Church? Right, your answers. You're right. Where can we find Wolseley of Shackleton fame? Where can we find his house?
Do you want me to look on Google?
No, that's cheating.
Is it?
We can answer it later.
Yeah.
What can we do if it's wet? What can we do? It's raining. What can we do? Where do I get visitor information on what's to do in Ekaroa? So has everyone answered all 4 questions? Because that's all there is to the quiz. And I think that might help demonstrate the need. Now, I know there's been initial fields go out, and as is frequent, the community board seeks staff input. And I'll read something to you, which is initial sort of input. We query the desk and leaflet model as our feedback is that many visitors are after a QR code to then view a website rather than paper, which often ends up in litter boxes. Very noble environmentally, but it doesn't answer a lot of questions. And it is an ADP concern. And we have already developed a QR to answer that need. But there is a wider need than just those of the digitally coherent. So who got more than one in the prize? Who got more than one in the quiz? Not to worry. These are for you to take home and stick where you really like them to be.
Well, this is fancy.
All right. These 2 locals can get.
So are we ready for questions or are we?
No, we're not ready for questions.
No.
We've only just had the prize giving. Remember there were 3 parts to the address?
Okay, yeah.
And the 3rd part is those who don't get satisfied. Now, we do not, the census is so late, but a big majority of the people who come to Ekaroa are seeking a lovely, peaceful time. And many of those are of senior status. And with senior status, quite often goes are not so good on the, oh, how do I do the QR? And the other thing that is at the other end is, as in the destination management plans, Banks Peninsula is intending to attract the culturally and academic seeking people. And they want deeper information that you can get from a quick flick or a screen wobble. So it's those people who definitely need to be catering for. Now, we're the first to acknowledge that it's not money-making at all, visitor information. There is the QR code. We've tried to give that to, excellent, that's all it's needed. We want that for all business to have it, because a lot of businesses have customers in, but they get the additional tourist type question. So they can direct people with their phones. There's the QR code, and it saves and helps them in time. But it's these other people I think need to be catered for. So to have space made here would be excellent. And if I had another minute, I'd probably walk around the building. We could have a look at where it would work. Thank you. That is our request. We hope you can put that forward to the council. We don't want the staff to tell us to put it on the annual plan 2022-5. We've got a season ahead of us. Littleton has a model that would work for us. So we seek your support in that. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I have a few questions
Well done.
around that. Oh, that was brilliant, Simon. I've got a question around how the idea of the volunteer structure would work. Are you talking about full time, the summer season, certain hours of the day, and who are your volunteers?
Right, are you allowed 3 questions on one lesson? We feel that the model that the art gallery uses here of a team of volunteers with one, perhaps a morning a week or an afternoon a week. In fact, someone sitting at this table said they wouldn't mind doing that. So we feel that they could come from the community. The real tough hurdle is the coordinator who would coordinate the volunteers. We don't, and that's where we really feel we should be given assistance for someone to have that position, that ideally. The other side of things are, this is a good chance for council staff here to become more enriched in their range of skills that they offer to people. Now, have I answered? There were 3 questions.
So is this during summer season?
Oh, ours. Well, we wouldn't be able to volunteer much out of the hours that are currently here, I'm afraid. And would it be an all-year thing or an all-season thing? We don't know the answers to that. How does Little River work?
I think too, as a trial, if this could get up and running in November and then maybe end around Easter, and it would have to work in with the opening hours that you currently have established. But I think as a long-term member of the community, I'd like to see the services re-established at the Akaroa Service Center that we had prior to the earthquakes. We, as ratepayers, deserve the same level of service as Little River and community board centers and service centers in the city. We lost a lot and we got cut down to 4 hours a day. Eventually, if this becomes a very, very active hub, serving the community as well as visitors, that service could be extended. I want the same level of service as we had prior to 2011. We are also an isolated community. We're not next door to Christchurch. We have to be self-reliant and we have to take care of each other and our visitors.
Coming from Heartlands is, a great breakdown in our social cohesion, especially when Asian population.
Yes.
So we have more of our Asian population coming into Heartlands. Computer, support with computer. Just questions, people visiting, where do they eat, where do they go?
Yeah, exactly. That's that's the service we see.
Re-establishing that grassroots, face-to-face, nice old-fashioned service that we were once able to provide. We can do that.
Tyrone's got a question for you as well.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't think you're going to get any pushback from anybody at this table or around that. Like, I think that have you talked to the facilities team at council? Because I think that they're the ones that would be able to help you on that. That would probably be my first.
They've started with this presentation to the board. This is their.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I did get anyway. Look, we don't need to litigate that. Thank you, Pen. And have you talked to the Littleton Information Centre Trust as well?
Yes,
because they've got their
I've visited them twice.
Yeah,
talked to their treasurer.
Yeah, and that was Ken, was it?
Ken.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think. Sorry, Ken, you told me that actually. Yep. Cool. Yeah.
So we have done some homework, but the additional point which you need for your people and facilities or whatever is that we are way more dependent on tourism in Akaroa. I mean, Akaroa salmon probably and tourism would be the 2 leading employers to keep the life of the town going.
Yep.
So we feel it's a really critical function here. And we look elsewhere in the Christchurch area and we see Littleton and Little River managing and being supported in exactly those sort of endeavours.
And just quickly to add to that, economically, in this last 3 months, I've had 2 small businesses come to look, to pull down on their KiwiSaver as hardship to small businesses. And they are relying on their KiwiSaver to keep them afloat. So, you know, it's supporting our smaller businesses as well. So it's not just about providing information to tourists, it's, you know, looking after.
You've got time for one more question? And Kathy's
Yeah, sorry, it's not a question. I just want to acknowledge, well done for looking ahead, because yeah, the tourism stuff and to mention the diversity of visitors and to, provide support in that spaces. So, yeah, thank you.
A little bit of my background is I was a visitor host for many, many years at the eyesight tour, the eyesight in town. So I understand this kind of business and the need for it. It actually changed quite a lot as I was working. There was less people making bookings. But there was still, I understand it face to face, but we might need to be, quite clever about doing it. Like we didn't even need, computers after a while. It was just talking to people. And, nowadays you got handheld stuff, and there was many times where I was standing greeting people most of the day, talking to them. So there's lots of ways to be able to be that host for people and visitors coming to the area. So I really support that endeavour, definitely. We'll just see what we can do. I mean, from our point of view, what are you asking from us today that we can help out with?
Basically, a small space. It's the size of a desk and maybe 2 chairs. I don't know what else you need. Maybe a rack for some brochures, just really basic.
Okay.
There's very little cost, if any, involved. It's mostly having a designated space and a sign so people know where to go. It's just a trial, and it could become something more substantial in a year or two. And Carrie is a great resource, and I think Heartlands would be helpful on many levels.
I think space in this building, given that we now have, well, the community have released on the upstairs space, which we're, looking to create that community hub and get volunteers and just create that community space that we've sort of lost along the way.
Yeah, Heartlands, you have done a lot of work and you could lead that project, and I think this board will be supportive of that. Yeah, so you're already doing that work, that's fair. Yeah.
So what we'll do is we will ask staff to maybe investigate what that would look like, what we would need to do there, and get some information back.
Could I ask that they converse with either Keith or Carrie or me when they come over and have a look? Because there's some tiny spaces that would actually be fine.
Okay.
So
you were the point people.
Yeah. Mostly Keith. Yeah.
You're the one who said that. You're the one who said plans drawn.
Okay, no, thank you. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing Carrie and Victoria.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We're just seeking what that would look like, if that would even work, what would be needed to make that work if it's possible.
A trial visitor desk.
A trial visitor desk, yeah. So it would be volunteer.
Yeah.
So from the community, they would volunteer. Okay, great.
Can I add to that? I think this being a major bus hub is very relevant, and it's a site relevant issue. Because I came past here yesterday, there's 3 buses trying to park here. One was parked outside the dairy. So this is the hub. Okay.
Right. Great, thank you. Right, we'll move on to deputations by appointment. We'll try and catch up some time for today. The youth cottage, we've got Rodney here to speak to us in regards to future plans and future options. Come on up, Rodney. Thank you for your time.
Shall I sit here?
Yeah, yes.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'll do my best with my 10 minutes. Look, I'm here. I'm actually a board member of the Rākaihautū Civic Trust, although I hasten to add I'm not here on their behalf. I'm here as an independent. And I've championed the cause of the retention of Jenny's Cottage for more years than I care to remember. Now, look, in the process of working out an option for the cottage, and I know there's 1 or 2 floating around, I took it upon myself to talk to our friend Laura Dakey at the antique shop, who has got land beside her. She has made it known that she would be willing to make that land available if and when the council finally get round to doing something about transferring the cottage to her site, if that be the case. This would have to be stitched up properly. I've actually proposed that we look at it, if it happened, as a community project, so that we could get all the community involved. And I've spoken to numerous tradespeople around the town who have got the skills to decorate and to paint and to build and whatnot, and they would give their time free of charge. How this would be worked out legally between the council and Laurel, I don't know. This is something that would have to be nutted out and talked on and talked through. It would be an ideal site. It would be visual. The cottage would be landscaped. And people are there to do this type of thing if and when it should happen. Laurel has already, as I know Tyrone is aware, has spoken to or had been visited by someone from council whose name is Barry Wood, I believe. Does that ring a bell with anyone? Okay. And so the idea of having it retained and perhaps on such a visual site would be fantastic. I do stress it as only one option, but it could be a good option if it was worked out. The actual ownership of it would then come into question, but that would be ironed out legally between council and indeed Laurel. So it's a question of what happens, what is best for the cottage. It needs to be retained. The council have abdicated their responsibilities remarkably and ridiculously. Demolition by neglect. It's a sad case. If that cottage had been in private ownership and left like that, the council would have been down on the owners like a ton of bricks. And so it's time we got down on the council and got them to do something. So this is my suggestion, and you can take from it what you wish, and we can move forward if it's necessary.
Great. Nigel.
Thank you, Rodney. Your passion for the cottage is amazing. And I think, you know, if we can save it and move it to somewhere, my concern is, and I was right behind this, my question to you was is around the ownership. If this goes into private ownership, and these people that you've asked to do, if they would do it up and support and help do it up, do they realise then it was going into private ownership?
Oh, well, it would be, depending on how that is defined. The council, of course, themselves would have to shape up and be responsible for putting down a concrete pad and hooking up the electrics and indeed the water.
Yeah, but my question is, the people you've spoken to, I mean, there's other buildings around town. You talk about the degradation of that building, and it's terrible, and the degradation of all these old buildings in this town is a real issue. And the privately owned ones, they like, I know the Madeira, they would dearly love to do up Rodriguez's original Madeira, and that's in a terrible state, probably as bad as your cottage. But those people that were going to come and fix it, would they do it if it was going into private ownership?
I suspect so. I mean, if you generate a community project and people are prepared to offer their time and it's spelled out to them what that time is being offered for, as I have, and they're still prepared to get into it because they are great believers in the retention of the cottage. So wherever it went, and whether it stayed in private ownership on Laurel's site or whether it became a joint thing between council and her or whatever, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
That would have to be discussed. But certainly the people that I have spoken to who are known in the village, very keen to get involved.
Yeah, so just to extend that question, if it remained in council ownership on an alternative piece of street frontage land or appropriate land, do you think your friendly tradies would still be interested in supporting the council to restore it?
No, I don't think so, because the council, if that stayed in council ownership, the council, who have not spent a bob apart from 70,000 band-aiding it 2 years ago, it is up to them to shape up and get on with their own property. And that is their property. If they move it from the site where it is to a council site over the road here, for instance, and I'm sure you're thinking of that, it would be up to them, of course, to get on with their own project. It is their property still.
Right, cool. Thank you. That's very clear. That's good.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just a comment here. Thank you. You have obviously done quite a bit of work. talking to tradies. So the land will be privately owned and the cottage will be owned by the council or the community. Is that the idea?
As I said, that has yet to be discussed. That would be a refinement process of ownership, perhaps between the council. If Laurel Daycare is making the ground available upon which the cottage might be sited, that would then have to be legally, a process would have to be drawn up legally so that she understood exactly where she stands, as would the council.
And then it will stay in the community management. For example, it has got potential to be form a community trust that would manage the whole cottage in the long run. Is that the idea? And so you're open for discussion in that regard, how it will be managed?
How it would be managed and how it would be utilised. I mean, the thing being, of course, it could be utilised for a variety of causes. I mean, it could be writers and residents. It could be all sorts of things. There's a whole string of things that it could be used for.
That's great. We are definitely.
Sorry.
That's right.
Hey, thanks, Rodney. I mean, it's a really, it's a really generous offer that Laurel's made, really, I think. And, in a perfect world, obviously, like, it would be a really good location. I guess if an agreement couldn't be reached, because, there's quite a lot of grey area between a perfect outcome and where we currently are. What would you kind of support for for that building? Like, what would be your next best kind of?
Well, the point is this: that if it was put back into a functional cottage whereby someone could live in it or sleep in it and eat in it and so on and so forth, it could, of course, also be let out as accommodation for someone who couldn't find accommodation in Aotearoa. And there are a lot of problems in that field. So that is another avenue down which we could go. But once again, I think that would have to be hammered out legally, unknown to us at this point.
Have you seen the proposal? Obviously we've got a bunch of proposals in front of us today in the agenda. Have you seen the one about relocating a BPMX site? So like in that scenario, that would kind of fit what you've just described as potentially.
Yes, but that would still be in council ownership, on council land, and it would be then up to the council to decide what to do with it. But that site is also, if the cottage could be visually seen on that site from the street and not tucked away.
The street frontage of it is so important. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
And that is also an option.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we've got things in front of us, I suppose. Yes. So it's encouraging in that regard. Yeah.
But the way the council has moved over the years with this cottage, that proposal, we could all be dead and buried by the time it gets underway.
And yes, where we're going from here is to try and get some momentum. Definitely. And we've got quite a few options to work through, so it's really good that you've been able to come here today and talk to us about the idea that you have as far as the community. We want it to be used if we can. We have a set budget that we have for it, obviously, that we're working with, but at the same time, we're working with the community as well to figure out what's the best next step.
And I think too, if I might say so, if it becomes a community project, which I think it could be, that this could be filtered through the media outlets, through the local Aotearoa Mail, to get some momentum from the community to get this cottage. It's the last remaining workers' cottage in Aotearoa, going back to 1840. It is listed. The modern attachment at the back of it, which is rotten and fallen away, that would go and would be left with the actual cottage as it was originally built, which is not big, it's tiny. It wouldn't be a big issue.
Thank you so much for your motivation and enthusiasm about this. I think it's really good to see. So I appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney.
And following straight up after that, we've got council staff talking about the future plans and future options for your cottage. We've got Maria and Wolfgang. Hello.
I'll take it, everyone's read the report. Just a wee recap is the cottage was previously approved for residential use. And as part of the planning to move the cottage off the road and above the flood level required it to be substantially lifted. And we've been asked to look at the options of relocation and deconstruction, which are on the table today. So, happy to take any questions.
Well, I guess obviously the idea of building it up would significantly destroy the effect, and there's still got water going through there. The options, what happens from here? Are we making a decision?
Yes. What our decision would be in regards to revoking those priorities. Should we go over those again perhaps?
Yeah. So what we're asking today is to revoke the previous decision, which was to lift and for residential purposes, restore the cottage on its existing site. And our recommendation is for the cottage to be included in the consultation process for BP Med site.
So that would be the decision.
Yep.
Yeah. If that was the decision, then it would go on and be part of the consultation. Yeah.
So the consultation would be around the BP Med sites. What about the proposal for the other site? Is that
well, that is in this report.
Yep, it is.
Yep.
I'm just trying to work out the process.
So when we look at the sites, our preferred site or the most logical site would be the BP Med site out of the 4 that were presented, which are all council-owned properties.
Yep.
We have considered private, but there's very few sections available. And of course, that's an additional cost to buy the land as well. So by including it in the BP Med site, we'll get a feel for whether that is the community supports that.
Okay, so what we're deciding now is just to revoke the original. That's what that would be just invoking the fact that we've already made a decision some time ago to do it up. Okay, well, I'm happy to move that and see it move. Yeah. Is that okay?
Question?
And then I mean,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, yes, we can.
Question?
Got loads of questions.
We got
loads of questions.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, yeah, thank you. We have, this board has already agreed to remain neutral when it comes to what happens with the BP Med site. We are seeking the public consultation and we will get feedback from the community. I'm afraid that by endorsing this option of inclusion of relocation of use cottage on BP Med site, will be jeopardizing that consultation, will be influencing public consultation. The reason we didn't do that earlier, this board didn't do that, is because nor this board nor the council wanted to be seen as favoring any idea. So yes, for to revoke the decision made earlier, but by endorsing this, I think we would put ourselves in a difficult position by favoring one idea. We want to remain open, neutral, and let's see what we hear from the community. Community may favor private ownership. We don't know. So what I'm suggesting is to remain neutral in this regard. And this idea may be possibly be the favored by community. So who knows?
This decision around this cottage has been going on for about 30 years. Started off as a fairly new building, I think, when it started the conversation. But anyway, I think it's been built. Time to get on with it.
The questions or comments?
If that's finished or?
Yeah, thank you.
I guess in no particular order. So, I mean, as I understand it, the reason that the cottage came into council's ownership was, under the Rākaihautū County Council, was it, in 1981? Was that about right? And that was not to preserve it as a heritage building, but rather to prevent a certain outcome for the bowls club, right? That was the rationale behind the purchase. So it wasn't to preserve the heritage of the building.
Bowling club are actually going to come along today, but seeing I'm here.
It's not. I guess it's not here.
I think originally that land was all owned by the bowling club, and then it was gifted to the council. I think that's what actually happened.
Okay.
But
I guess probably my point that I wanted to make was like, what's the impediment to returning it into private ownership? Like, I mean, I know that it's been said we don't want it to return to private ownership. I don't have a view either way. I'm just interested into like given the way that it sort of came into council's possession, is it, what's the heritage position on putting it back into private ownership, do you think?
Back to your original one, council purchased, or just Banks Peninsula purchased it in 81 to keep the cottage there, as well as to stop it being removed and redeveloped with a higher building.
That's what I understood, yeah.
So at that point in time, it was not scheduled or listed as a heritage building because the Banks Peninsula didn't have a schedule. So the RMA wasn't in play there. So post that, it did get scheduled in the first Banks Peninsula district land. So that's when it became a heritage.
Had a certain status, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So there's probably nothing stopping it from going into private ownership on that particular site.
Or any particular site.
Or any particular site. It would still, if we were to transfer it into private ownership, it would need to go through a special consultative process of community consultation, and it would be a council decision.
Okay, no, that's cool, thank you. And so that's very, very clear. And if we were to endorse the inclusion of relocating the cottage to the BP meat site, so that would necessarily, so we go through the consultation and we don't know how that could come out. Everyone could say, no, leave it where it is, right? Or people could say, oh no, I want to buy it, or by all means move it to the BP meat site, right? Like, who knows what they'll say. So if the overwhelming public feedback is leave it where it is, then we're back to basically where we are, right? I think that's right. Yep. And if the public feedback is move it to the BP meat site, then that necessarily, for want of a better word, handcuffs any future development of the site to include the thought of the building. Is that right? It would do.
It has potential, and just be aware you're not endorsing its movement to the BP site. You're
endorsing including it in the consultation. That's right. So
that consultation could actually go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Everyone could say no. Everyone could say yes.
Yeah.
We are, by including that, we are limiting the options. We are giving people feeding ideas.
But I guess what I'm saying is that if we do endorse that and it goes into the consultation and everyone wants to move it to the BP meat site, or we get like this big lots of feedback that says that, then that does tie in any future development proposal into maintaining, into looking after that building and doing stuff with it on that site, right? I mean, necessarily.
No, because you could have a lease arrangement, like there's a lease arrangement at the moment.
No, sorry, can I just say there's just I think there's a little misunderstanding. The recommendation around this is to include it in the consultation. It's not to say the board wants it moved there. You're saying,
oh no, I get that.
Put it in the mix and find out whether actually the community wants to include that in the development of that site or not.
Yes, and if they do,
Yep.
then.
So if they go, yes, we
then-
want it on
then
the
that
site.
ties the development into considering cottage
Correct.
into that,
Correct. A lot
regardless of who the developer is.
Well, what I think what that does, that the BP meets consultation is to identify the options.
Yeah.
So there's more consultation on the options to go, isn't there?
Yeah.
But the next one for BP meets is about actually, these are all the things that the community would like in the mix of the options. So
Yeah.
actually, if you include it in that options, I don't think you're predisposing the board saying this is what we want. What you're saying is put it in there and find out if the community wants that in there or not, because we don't want, we want to be neutral. We want to know if the community wants it.
Despite we say it or not, community has got these ideas. Even now, I speak to a number of people, even though it is not there, they say that we would like it moved at BP Mead site. We want it there, moved there.
Right.
So the ideas are there already.
Yeah.
Even if the council removes this segment, the endorsement part, it is not going to affect the future of this site at all.
Come off the side.
Yeah.
You have endorses.
So we have got other options, move it to council on, land or private owned land. So those options are already there. So by including that, it is not complementing that idea as is. So some people may misunderstand that. They are saying that the board has endorsed that the cottage be moved on BP Mead site. So there is a potential of misunderstanding there. And when you read the item 4.25.1, it also suggests that the private owner wants the cottage be renovated to residential standards and gifted as a residential property. So the only reason we are exploring this private ownership idea, moving into a private property, is the council doesn't want to spend money. But here, what I'm understanding is like council has to spend money, renovate it to living standard, and then this private individual is, that they put a condition there. Or is it something wrong? Or do I understand it really differently than anyone else?
So what you're saying is that predetermining the outcome?
Yeah.
By saying it has to be restored to full.
Yes, so there's so much discrepancies in this very proposal. And what we heard from the gentleman earlier, he wanted to do it as a community project, which is totally different than what it is here now.
So let the staff answer the question about that.
So you're querying the option of moving it to private site. Staff have talked with the owner of the private site, and the only condition on which they will have the cottage relocated there is if council move it there, do it up so that it can be used residentially and then gifted to them. So council would be footing the whole cost of restoring that building and then gifting it to a private person.
Exactly. So that private person is different and then individual is different than the one who spoke earlier?
That's correct.
Okay.
You're talking about the owner saying that she wants it done up and gifted.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we're reporting here.
Yeah.
The owner wishes to have it done up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have got a third option here. Under private ownership, it could be managed differently, as we heard earlier.
Yes, but the disadvantage of this one is we're using public money for private benefit.
Yes, but the earlier what the individual suggested, the community will do it themselves. No public money involved in that.
Apart from the was it the cement, brick pad and
yes, exactly.
So one council would still have to move it to site, they'd have to put in the foundations, and they would have to put in electrical work. And there's all our consenting costs, and then there'd also still would be a special consultative process to gift it to private.
Yeah. So that option is different than what Rodney explained, presented earlier, that he wanted to do everything by community and come up with an idea. So maybe that idea could be included here as well, because there are two different things. When one option, one individual is asking everything to be done for that individual,
Which is the owner.
And then in the second option, it is private ownership, but they would do it as a community project.
Am
I allowed to comment?
No, I'm afraid you're not. I'm so
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We go back to Tyrone because I'm not too sure
Yeah.
whether you finished asking your questions, and then we'll have Gillian's question.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. So just on item 3 in the officer recommendation. So, yep, including the inclusion of relocating U Cottage. So that things can, I'm just worried about things getting a little bit conflated there, because like it's a yes or no question, isn't it? Do you want to move the cottage to BP Meads? Because, you know, people, I'm sort of thinking people would turn it into a consultation about what to do with Yew Tree Cottage as well, which is that, oh no, I don't want to move it to BP Meads, so I don't actually want to move it to the site over here and put it into private ownership. So how do we, you know, so what's your feedback on that?
So the have staff presented the consultation process?
No. Oh, the process they have, yes, yes, but not the.
So the first stage goes out, and basically there might be a list of options presented to the community around what would you like this site used for? Here's some potential uses, and that's how U Cottage would be packaged up. It's a potential use alongside a number of other potential uses.
Yep.
So we're not, you know.
And then once the consultation goes through and as part of the feedback that we get, it might say, yes, we're very keen on moving U Cottage to, but it might be overwhelmingly something else. And if it's overwhelmingly something else, then we do something else with U Cottage. And if it's overwhelmingly in favour of moving it to the site, then we can actually explore that a little bit more in the overall development plan.
Correct. So depending on the feedback, you know, we could. So everyone could be in favour, everyone could be against. Multiple suggestions came back to us, which we would all consider.
Maybe you want to reduce the word indoors.
We'll just go to Gillian next. We had a question.
I think that's probably answered my question too, which was that people, I'm assuming that people would have the opportunity to present other options when in the consultation, so they could say, no, we don't like any of these. We don't like the preferred one, but we've got this other suggestion, and that gets considered as well.
As part of the consultation, yeah, there'll be no preferred. In the consultation, there's no preferred. I think the initial consultation is to gather the public's feedback, which could be absolutely anything. Then it goes on to a second stage of consultation based on that initial feedback.
Got Asif and then Tyrone.
Yeah, sorry. The potential, I agree with Tyrone. You know, the word, I think, endorse, the inclusion, that endorse will be seen as the board endorsing it. It is just, it will be perceived like that.
It's endorsing the
endorsing the inclusion of moving the cottage to the BP.
No.
Endorsing to the consultation.
So acknowledge, maybe it could be worded differently. Maybe I think is how I read is how it will be perceived as.
Okay.
Can you bring up the resolution on the screen?
So it's about the wording of the resolution. So it's really clear the board isn't endorsing the moving of it.
Yes,
which is what, I mean, you know, I could see if you read it quickly or you didn't understand the background, you might think that. So if we could look at some wording around that and include, I think we need to include the word option somewhere, the option of, you know, include the option of relocating New Cottage.
Take the word endorse out, I think.
Well, it needs to be a change. There still needs to be a verb. So ask ask or, you know, request?
So as part of the community consultation process for the site, we endorse the inclusion of relocate,
Just agree.
Agree?
Yes.
Agree the inclusion.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Fine.
Yeah.
That-
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, let's get you up.
Well, I think there's so much more to
Yeah.
be done.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Crazy.
Take out of the course.
Take down the indoors. No, yes, true.
Do you want to put, after as, BP meets as, I'll wait till the, as an option in the community consultation process?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then it just, it makes it, is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
What did you say?
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. After as, so it's got BP meets in bracket and as.
Yes.
An option
Okay, as an option.
in the community consultation. So you would delete, well, no, just delete part of.
Yeah.
Not
Thank
in the
you.
community consultation process for the site. So, so yeah, it's an option. Is that, that's all right?
That's
Still
good.
meets
That's
the intention, is that right, Elsie? Is that?
Yeah, I think
Does
so.
that
Yeah.
include the thoughts and ideas that you had around that, Arthur? Yeah. Okay, who was next? Tyrone, I think, and then Nigel.
Thank you, because that does not necessarily preclude the any other possible outcome for you cottage either, right?
Yeah.
Now,
So Rodney could be.
I don't know why I do this to myself, but I'm like wondering if we should just note that in the. I'm not gonna. No, okay, thank you.
Like this-
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you.
This clarifies it enough.
Yeah.
Would it help that?
All other options are still on the table.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything that comes out of the first consultation. I mean, it's not a go by the community.
Yep.
I'm guessing it doesn't
Perfect.
go to stage 2.
Yeah.
And
Lovely.
now-
Thank you.
Can I just clarify at the start, anything we do with you, probably just still run the special consultation process.
Yep.
Because it's a strategic aspect.
That's correct.
So even if we get back to the meeting and say, yes, we want on BP meeting site, it still has to go through the special consultation process.
Yeah, I understand that.
Stated process.
This doesn't preclude Rodney's approach either.
Yeah, yes, and in terms of adding a private ownership option, does how you would include Rodney's idea that he shared earlier?
Okay.
It's included by.
Okay, so that will be part of the letter report that you will present. Okay.
It doesn't stop what Rodney wants.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Right. So going through what we've got already. I mean, basically what I see is the main things that everybody's talking about is some kind of certainty about next steps, some kind of community use. We have some restrictions around certain things that we can do. Obviously, you know, there's the ownership.
Street
things
frontage.
we need to work through. There's amount of budget that we have.
Yeah.
And then there's also a process and engagement with the community, which is really, really important. I guess with this next step that we need to do to making a decision around this, is anybody any last questions before we maybe make a resolution and then have debate? I mean, have a, yeah, do that. Need some more clarification, yep.
Just thinking about the BP Mint site. Can you remind me, there's a separate process that might go on then to do with what develops?
Yes.
What happens at that?
That's right, that's underway.
Yeah.
So we'll have, there's a bit of a little bit of overlap. Yeah.
That's correct.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but bringing up now, but we'll give it some discussion around that because that's all out there for consultation anyway. And it's independent of this. That's where it gets a little bit tricky. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess the next step that we need to do is to vote, well, we put that to the vote.
I've moved it.
You've moved it already.
Yeah.
To approve the amendments. Okay, thank you for noting that. So do you approve that? If you still want to move that, do you approve?
Correct.
The changes that we've made or additions we've made to number 3?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second it then.
Seconded by Tyrone. Open for debate before we're making a final decision. Anybody have anything that they would like to comment on? Okay.
Since it's a strategic asset, having it go into private ownership at some point, I suppose, moving it to and keeping it in council or public, do we lose any of its heritage value or anything like that in terms of public?
It's a debate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, she said
You can
any
say how you feel.
clarification. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, like happy to support the resolution. It's I couldn't work out whether it's a sensible thing or if it's a bit of a Hail Mary with you cottage, because we're really like I've come to the conclusion with this that the building has to be moved. I don't say that lightly, like I would love for it to be able to stay in its current location, but I think it's actually become untenable because for lots of different reasons. So I think it's really, really important that we as a board, as an entity, support the retention of the building at least, because it still has lots of heritage values. And you know, look, we've been going, as Nigel, you said, this has been going on forever. It's we don't want it to be one of those 100-year things like we've got with Pūtō. I sort of feel like we've got some options in front of us, and one of them's going to work out.
Yeah.
So, and I think that this resolution is helping us to move us in that direction. As Rodney said, it has been kind of I'll paraphrase, but basically it's kind of the death by neglect of the building, and we've really got to be able to ensure that that doesn't happen and it gets preserved. So happy to support this, and we'll just keep moving forward.
You know, I'd say so. Coming into there's a very strong community, and to sort of reflect on a comment that Rodney made about all the local tradies getting involved. There's no better model for this than the lighthouse that was moved onto public land, and there was some sort of deed or some sort of set up around that, and it's managed by a group of passionate volunteers who've just spent thousands raising money and refurbishing that lighthouse, so it can exist in that environment, and this town is very, very passionate about its heritage. Thank you.
Yeah, so hopefully
Thank you. The Crow has got a history, and we have got an option, to preserve it. As Nigel mentioned, gave the example of lighthouse. Community has done it, and now that is being managed by volunteers, and that building could potentially be used for various options, including the information center or community welfare hub, and so many options there are on the table that could be used, and we could use that and keeping its heritage value. It's an asset for the community. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Right. Okay, so we'll move on to all those in favour.
Aye.
Against? It's carried. Thank you very much, team.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you.
A very sticky wicket.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'll be able to.
You did it the whole process.
Thanks, Rodney. Thanks for your attention.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do standing part now, and then we're going to have a quick recess for a break.
If you wanted to go to options.
Page. The question.
We've got a chair here.
I'll prepare it.
Page 63.
I'd like to introduce Charles DeLambert from the Stanley Park Reserve Committee and Hannah Murdoch, Community Partnerships Ranger. You have before you the Stanley Park Triennial Plan, which was created in collaboration with staff and identifies the Stanley Park Committee's priorities. A triennial plan can be used to report on progress and to support submissions to the long-term plan and annual plan processes for funding. Also before you is the Stanley Park Reserve Schedule outlining the reserves they are to manage, including the facilities and assets, the local community relating to the reserve, user groups and organisations, and the local readinga of the reserve. And I'd like to hand over to Charles to talk about the Stanley Park Reserve.
Okay, thank you. Charles DeLambert's my name. I am a recent addition to the Stanley Park Reserves Committee. And Liz Haylock is currently unavailable, so she's asked me to step in. So Liz has largely prepared this, so I'll just read from that. I haven't got my laptop with me.
The presentation? No.
No, I can send this through anyway. Okay, so on the 31st of August in 2005, after sustained community input to reserve what we think is a jewel in the crown at the heart of Akaroa, approximately 6 hectares that we know as Stanley Park was officially declared to be a recreation reserve and formally gazetted, reserving it for the community of Banks Peninsula District Council. The inaugural meeting of the Stanley Park Reserve Committee was in September in 2005. Since that time, the members of this committee have been passionate advocates working with the council and more recently the dedicated parks team to help achieve the vision that we first had. That was to have a balance of open space with a farm-like setting, occasionally grazed by sheep and surrounded by bush, with tracks that are in keeping with its rural setting, but are safe and regularly used by the public. Also open space to picnic, play games and enjoy the views. A bush that children can build huts and play games. We had a report on the planting done by Hugh Wilson of Hiniwai, and some plantings have since been carried out. Access to the park is by one of 4 entrances, and many people walk and use the park every day, doing what we envisaged. Members of the committee walk in the park on a regular basis, some having trap stations. They maintain some grub gorse and thistles, which is kit, and all others look out for what needs doing, and we know we can contact the regular parks team who will action this. We are pleased that the new capital works on the track repair and changes have been approved, and we appreciate the support from the council and Kerry Bowen on this project. This improved track is from the main entrance, which is by the fire station, and involves cutting and forming a new track and replacing the steps, cutting back and resurfacing the existing track and improving drainage. There's quite a steep little section that's got loose shingle on it, and there's quite a steep gradient there. The new track will provide a better gradient and remove the steep and often washed out section. We envisage that more people will use this route to access the south end of town and provide a loop walking track option. We have seen this as long overdue enhancement. We hope to see the track also down from Watson Street down to Pennington and then leading around the top of the French Village, which is on the end of Pennington. Also finished to a similar standard, as currently it is slippery and wet in the winter months, meaning it is not a popular choice to use. Additional native plantings to complement the bush, but to maintain the unrivaled views will also enhance the park. We thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee. Just on a personal note that I can report that the committee has recently been boosted by a person by the name of David Janet, who comes from a forestry background. So David has also agreed to join the committee, and so have I, and we will fill the 2 places that Rob Naish leaves, and also Tim.
Tim, yeah. Tim, yeah.
Yeah. Tim's left as well. So, and also there is an article in this week's Akron Mail, just profiling, you might have seen that, profiling the Stanley Park Committee and also asking for other people to help join that committee so I think we're in reasonable hands moving forward. So thank you. Any questions?
I just got a comment as liaison, see the work that's being done there, particularly around the new track, and it's a shame you haven't got a picture of it up here because it's spectacular. It's actually a big part of it, the boardwalk that goes around, and I don't know if is there any consultation going on about that, or they're just going to go in?
Because at the moment we're not making a new track, it's just currently just upgrading that track.
But there's a boardwalk.
Are you talking about a bit further up?
No, I'm thinking it wasn't a bit going over golf, but pity we haven't got it up. But anyway, no, that's okay. I'll leave that.
The one where you come down on the right hand side.
No, I saw plans at a meeting of that track.
So that would have to go. Well, that hasn't been. We're only currently doing just an upgrade of the current track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is some great stuff going on there and some exciting.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Thank you. For the future as well.
Yeah.
If anybody's got burning questions, we should be behind, so we will continue.
It's good to me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
I'm happy to move that. Someone like to second it? Yep, Nigel, all those in favour?
Right.
Yes. That's carried. Thank you so much. You've represented so well.
Thanks.
Well done. Thank you.
Would you like me to forward that through?
To me, yep, that'd be great.
Okay.
We should do it after a visit sometime. We should put that on our list of places to come and visit.
We'll start at the top and walk down.
Yeah.
Like certain.
Okay.
Once that track is upgraded.
Yeah, so that's the money, we're just waiting on a date for the upgrade. Yeah, I'll be letting the committee know when that.
Well, if you could update through staff when that happens, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Good, thanks, guys.
Right, we're going to take a 10-minute recess.
Yes.
We will come back. So let you know when we're off budget.
Unexpected bonus.
Was that a break?
Yeah, that's why we're having a break.
Yeah.
Right, isn't
Certainly.
it?
Oh, thank you, Gillian.
So that potentially would, but I'm pretty sure that would have to come to a separate board meeting.
Oh, the text. Yes, reading, it was a good idea of others, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think I was wondering about that because with the development of the Banks Village
We're on.
Well, now we are going to jump ahead. Now we're on reserve committee meeting minutes. Thank you, Linda. No presentation of petition. No.
So we're approving.
Thank you. Yes, the reserve committee minutes, you have minutes of 5 reserve committees before you at the moment. Allendale Reserve, the minutes noted that the water is now running and toilets are now open at the Allendale Hall, but they did not have results of water sample testing at that stage. I just want to clarify that it's not the hall toilets that are open, it's the public toilet on the Allendale Reserve following the installation of a new pipe. And the water was reconnected to enable flushing of the toilet only and is non-potable as the test results went back at that stage. I haven't had an update as of today, but that comment was regarding the public toilet on the reserve rather than the hall toilets.
So the last that you did just recently is that they're open. There's public toilet.
Public toilets on the reserve, yes.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah. Our ET Reserve Committee currently only has 4 members, and they've been advised to appoint an additional member to meet the minimum of 5 members as required by the terms of reference. The committee is working to determine how much additional funding they will need to enable them to get the tennis pavilion on the reserve watertight and painted. Littleton Recreation Ground, you'll see additional resolutions today to note the resignation of Josetta Wylars and Andrew Corley from the committee, and to approve the appointment of Sabrina Saunders representing Littleton Netball.
Oh, good.
And Drew Lindsay representing football onto the Littleton Ground Reserve Committee.
Who was that representing football?
That was Drew Lindsay.
Thank you.
Pigeon Bay and Duvershall are both hoping to sign off their triennial plans soon, so we'll be hoping to get them before the board shortly. Thank you.
That's it. Any questions?
Good.
No, really good. Great work here, Linda. Australian plans, I imagine they're the work, but you're working through them. So
getting there.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so are we happy to approve and receive the minutes? Just receive them, thank you. I will move that, thank you. Can I have a second, Kathy? All those in favour?
Oh,
All those in favour?
sorry.
I still haven't heard from everybody. All those in favour?
Aye.
That is carried. Thank you very much. We're all, after break, we have to refocus again, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so next, Linda, you're still here for the head-to-head walkway working cutting notes.
Yes. There was interesting discussion at the head-to-head walkway working party meeting about various possible route options from Kura to Adelaide Head. Each option would require the support of 3 or more landowners, and there is also a need to be mindful of the areas that Whakaora, CCC and ECAN are focusing on for the programmed release of titi in that area. So further work is going to be done to refine those options. And the group was updated on various other sections of track, including replacement of the recently closed coastal track at Cass Bay with a new track from Cass Bay to the top of Pony Point. This is just in the initial planning stages at the moment.
What's titi?
Titi, mutton bird.
Oh, mutton bird.
Oh, awesome. So that's really good. Any other questions about that, Kath? Yes, Tara.
Just on the, where is it? So, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, there we go. For the head-to-head walkway item.
Yeah, we're on page 29, aren't we?
I'm looking at page 32. So, where it says Sumner Road pedestrian crossing. You've already got that, sort of near the bottom of page 32 on the agenda. Number 4.
Yeah.
So that, as I recall, the conversation was roughly about getting a crossing across Sumner Road from a certain point to sort of, as part of the head-to-head walkway. And I'm assuming, but not certain, that will wind its way to the traffic engineer for an assessment as to whether or not that's a viable.
The head-to-head walkway meeting that we held did not have the forum, so no decisions could be.
That's
made.
right, Linda. Thank you for reminding me.
That's
That's right. That's right. It did not.
Yeah.
Did not. That's right. And you've just reminded me that I had some things to do on the back of that. Oh my God, the backlog. Oh no, publicly shamed. No, that's good. We'll just leave it at that. That's fine. That's fine.
All right, any other questions before we receive those?
No, thank you.
Okay. Can I have a mover? All right.
Well, hang on. Can I move? I can move it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seconder, Kathy, all those in favour?
Aye.
That's great, thank you. And again, Reserve Committee Special Conditions Progress. Yes, it's on page, let me just check everybody up, where are we, 49.
So in December 2022, 6 of our 15 reserve committees were subject to special conditions with 12 months to comply to bring them into line with the reserve committee terms of reference.
Yep.
By 9th of October 2023, 1 had met its special conditions and 5 were given an extension to October 2024. Now a further 2 have met these special conditions and we have 3 left, 3 remaining with special conditions. They are Labons Bay, Pigeon Bay and Lukalaka Lower Reserve. This report is for the board to approve a further extension of 12 months to allow time for the lengthy processes outlined in this report to take place. So I'll take the report as read and ask that you extend the special condition deadline to 7th of October 2025 as per the resolution.
Answer the question.
So that includes Labons Bay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then I'm happy to move it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry, we can't extend it?
End of March.
Can the next board extend the date? Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, second. Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour?
Right.
Carry. Yes.
That was less controversial than I thought it might be.
Well, we sort of,
Good work, thank you. Yep, I moved it. Yep. Yep, that's correct.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Appreciate it. And it's, congratulations for the ones that we have. Take off.
You're doing a bang up job, Linda. Thank you.
We have assisted in progressing that. So yes, great job.
good.
What have we got next? Tourism summit. Oh, so this is about conference attendance for elected members, and there's a couple of options here. Liz, would you like to talk about that?
Up to you.
I'll take the report as read.
Later.
We are on page 77.
When considering the elected members' attendance, one of the questions I think you should ask as elected members is how does this benefit the board and the BP community if anybody is to attend these conferences, and how you'd like them to report back to the board.
Yeah. How to benefit the board. Okay, so we've got
and the community
yeah, well,
and the vehicle for reporting back to the board on attendance if someone is.
So there's 2 options that we've got there that have been put forward, which is fantastic opportunities that we need to consider, because they are fit within our purview and what we want to do for us and the community. Do we have people that are interested in those? Firstly, I guess would be a great question. Speak now.
We're looking at one and the other.
Yeah, we can do both. We can see whoever is interested in what, and then we will focus on those as we go.
I was interested in the tourism one, but particularly if it were online, but it's not online. Benefits to the board, I think tourism plays a big part in our ward, and with the destination management plan as well, which I think we've started, so I don't, it'd be quite good to see how we can see what other places are doing.
The budget's in the report.
Yeah.
So yeah, might be keen on that one. If
So
we as
do
a board
you have
think-
time to go, because you asked about Zoom, but do you have
Yeah.
time to go in person, is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I think it's early in the week, so possibly, yeah,
Okay.
just an overnight.
The
Possibly
reason,
have somewhere to start.
I remiss, sorry,
Oh,
the reason your budget is higher than you in the past is it's the LGNZ membership. Council decided to distribute.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
No, I got, yeah, that's where it came from. Cool.
Oh, nice. Just in time.
Yeah, I think tourism is very, very important for Aotearoa.
Yes, especially, yeah, one should go.
And,
So-
yeah, I'd be, I mean, if there's room for me, then I'll be quite happy to attend. I think it's.
Oh, it's good.
That'd be good.
So it says here to
I
consider.
thought we'd be
that.
fighting for this. And
Are we making a
Yeah.
decision today?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Because I need to get, because the bookings need to be made quite soon,
Right.
Okay,
because it's only next month.
and this would require us to nominate and then vote.
What's the date of it?
Or we
What's
just
the date of
agree.
it?
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, so let's do that independently. So,
I think me and
I see
Nigel
no,
working.
I see, no, unless there's any conflicts of interest you need to report there, no,
No, just, yeah,
okay, so we put
Destination
forward that
management.
we are happy for Kathy if that suits her
I think Nigel
to
wants,
attend.
And Nigel.
and Nigel.
And Nigel?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
so-
understand, sorry, I didn't hear that you wanted to go first.
The tourism one, particularly.
Okay. Right, has anybody got questions about that before we make a resolution?
Fits well within usefulness to the board.
Okay, so all those in favour of
Aye.
Kathy and Nigel going to the tourism one?
Yep.
So we need a mover and a second.
Oh, sorry.
I
Or
will
do it
second
all
it.
at the end.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Do
do
it all at
both.
the end? Okay.
I've got Kathy and Nigel down for TIA.
Okay, so the second one is, let's
Um,
talk more about that.
Indigenous conference, I would be interested in that. And it would, it's an international conference on Indigenous communities, and it will benefit in so many ways because of our board nature and how we work with local EV.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot to learn. I haven't been to a conference like this before. I think they're gonna cover all aspects of working with Indigenous communities in collaboration with local and national government globally. So I think it would be useful in that regard. Thank you.
I don't think that there's any doubt about that in my view.
Okay, so that's a benefit to the board. Is there anything else in conflicts? of
As long
interest?
as we can capture the, you know, the learnings.
Yeah, learning, yeah.
But possibly if we do these, we should do some sort of report back to the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to do that.
How would you do that? What's the vehicle you would use?
Well, through, I guess, a PowerPoint. I haven't done a PowerPoint for about 10 years, but
Yeah,
I've done things like that before where I've gone
Can do
away
a
and stuff, I had to
combined.
report back.
So it could be a board with sort of information sessions.
Yeah, information.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Because I guess on that, from the LGNZ conference, we didn't do any reporting.
No,
No.
that's quite sad because it would have been.
Yeah, there
great.
was, yeah, I did, when I went to Otago conference, I did
Yes, you did. just-
we're reporting back.
You're right, there does need.
I think
to
it's
be
a good
place-
idea to report back.
And reasonably soon after too, I think, so
Yeah.
maybe within sort of 2 months.
Well, it will be difficult at this time because of the timing of the conferences, because they're in November, and our last information session for the year is the 25th of November.
Right.
So if you do you think you could get it ready for the 25th of November? Otherwise, it
Oh,
would
I
have
think
to
so.
wait till February.
Shall we aim for that? And then see how-
Yes, there we go.
So I think from the participant point of view, that's best when it's fresh in your mind,
Yes, totally do it straight away.
not 2 months later.
Yeah.
Well, you start, well, if you know you're going to do a report, you start seeing the conference differently anyway.
Thanks, yeah.
You start really focusing, okay, now what am I gonna, what can I pull out of this?
Okay, right, now we can, make a resolution. So who would like to move that? I saw Tyrone put his hand up before, is that
Yes.
still the case?
I'll move that.
Second for that, please. Gillian, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? It's carried.
Thank you.
Well done, you get to go to the ball. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Shall go to the ball? All right, I'm going to get my really right. Okay, thanks for that. Thank you very much, Liz.
Yeah.
Next, we've got our area report from Ken.
Ken and the team. Yeah, who have got plenty of information in there, all the advisors about what they're up to, working across a large number of small communities. Yeah.
Page 95, aren't we?
We are. A summary of where you're at with your discretionary response funding. We still have some more money left for the rest of the year. I understand there are some projects that are being assessed at the moment. There's usually always something in train. Happy to take any questions, expand on anything that's in there. Your reply to the long-term plan submission is in there.
I love the photo of the Commonwealth Games opening in 1974. Great.
I remember it well.
I do.
It's a bit of a shame, isn't it?
There's just, oh my goodness, I just keep reading over this, and it's just such good work, like amazingly punch above our weight, team. So just chuffed.
Thank you.
I'll
pass that on.
I had a question, page 97, about the assisting groups to attend the Wānanga series. And it talks about supporting 6 key community members. So I'm assuming that, so 6 is a number that's been suggested. And then somehow there'd be some process to figure out who those key community members would be.
Oh, no, if I could answer that. Yep. So we have actually, so what staff did was, because this wonderful series came up, and the staff advisor team really decided that it would be really good capacity building for community organisations to have good access to this series. It cost about $200 or so per person. Don't quote me on that, but something like that. And not every local community organisation could afford that. So our staff networked the opportunity around, and from that we received 6 kind of notices or expressions of interest in attending. So we have funded that from our capacity building budget, our operational budget. We've funded those community organisations to send their staff on that series. We saw that as a really good investment in increasing the capacity of those groups to work with locally, so and understand upholding the treaty and how to actually do that.
Would it be in the interest of people to know, to have that, to know who those people are or what organisations they are? It's not.
Yeah, we can. Yep, that's certainly. Well, it's public funding, so public information. We can certainly let you know that. Yep.
Any other questions for Ken? Any other comments?
Just want to say thank you to Linda and Dane. I was at a public network meeting and they were very grateful for the better off funding, and I'm sitting there going, yes, thank you, but really it was Heather. So, you know.
I feel quite privileged to see what goes on behind the scenes.
So really,
Great. Okay, so let's receive those. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Tyrone, thank you.
Kathy.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, Ken. Okay. If he's having technical issues, then yes, definitely. Yeah. We might want to talk with him about what his technical difficulties are. He's going to ask you. Okay. Okay, great. We'll hopefully have that sorted by next meeting. Right, elected members exchange. This is a great opportunity where we can just talk about what we've been up to over the month in our community and share it with each other so that we all know what everybody's doing and how the community is and what's happening. If people would like, I can start. Okay. Do that. Just a little something to note. So every month, some of you know, some of you don't know, I have the pleasure of being able to represent the community board at the city council when the community chairs get to talk to the council and the mayor.
She does it so well too.
And thank you. It's been a learning process, I tell you, but it's a great bunch of people here, really. And just inform them of what's been going on and what's been happening, our decisions that we've made. And just to let you know how that is taken on board, I've been getting lately some really good feedback about what the board's been doing, and the mayor actually mentioned that he liked how we did the whole process around better off funding in regards to the auditing and then the decision making of how the better off funds were made. And in fact, he used the word groundbreaking. And so I think that that's something to take on board. As far as wanting to emulate that process moving forward, I know he didn't use groundbreaking, he said cutting edge. I'm so sorry, cutting edge. So I think we need to give ourselves a pat on the back for that, and also staff.
I think the
members.
Staff need to take.
Totally, 100%. Really, really good, and I think that we do punch above our weight, and that's to be acknowledged. What's been happening in Little River? Well, a bunch of stuff really. Good flooding mitigation processing going on. So we had a get together with so many different groups, ECAM, council, community, all getting together to find out some results from mapping that had been done, to try and identify what are the pinch points, what are the areas that are really causing the problems for the flooding, so that we can focus on those for mitigation. So personally, I found it a little bit confusing at the presentation of how it was done wasn't that clear. So there's some clarification around what the data means for us moving forward as a group. But it is fantastic that we have now got hard data, that's independent data, so that we can work on it with the community instead of people, you know, trying to figure out where the actual problems are. We've got data to back it up, that's independent. So that's great. Hold up the Coronation Library, we'll go into that at another time. But just to let you know that it's still being worked on and we're still pushing that forward. That's me. Good luck for next. Thank you.
1 to 10, how much time now? Just really quickly, Days of Ice is happening, school holidays program. So Littleton is a gateway to Antarctica. So there's an Antarctica window hunt on the business shop windows. So that's happening for the next 2 weeks. And at the end of it, they do prize draws and things that Antarctica, New Zealand's helping sponsor as well. It's going well, I think. Littleton Info Centre doing a great job. They do all the voluntary stuff for tourists, and of course cruise season starting, so they're just trying to engage in that.
Oh, it's cruise season starting. Oh, I didn't.
14, and then there's other cruises. Yeah, so there's public meeting on that cruise ship stuff as well. October 11th. 6 p.m. in one of the local shops, and it's hosted by Climate Liberation Aotearoa. Yeah,
very nice and balanced.
Yeah, no, it's just just community or groups feeling that they need to. Currently, there's a no swim sign in Cass Bay. I think there might have been some drainage issues. There were council works in the neighborhood recently, so there's a sign up. I think that it kind of ties in with the head-to-head, Tyrone and a resident talking about the crossing and safety at Sumner Road.
Yeah.
So I thought we could bring that up at some point.
Yeah.
It's ongoing.
Exactly.
Keep Christchurch Beautiful are having their awards coming up, and part of it was the New Zealand Cleanup Week. We did a very small group took part in Cass Bay. We focused on the car park area and collected 5 bags, and surprise, surprise, it was domestic garden waste, and we found someone's address in the pile as well. So I think someone just got to the car park, flung it over and kept driving. Rapaki had tree planting that was really successful, 12 volunteers, 450 plants. And what else? Fibre is coming to the bays and they're having a public and community meeting. Halloween happening in the bay as well. And the very last one, thank you, council, the pathway, the footpath in Caspay has been fixed just in time for summer.
Oh,
It's looking good, yeah. So it's all good in the
Thank you. Thank you. These were announced about the attendees for the one.
For the Wananga, so some of your key groups that you work with and support, the Little River Wairua Community Trust, Diamond Harbour Youth and Community Trust, the Littleton Community House, Manawa Kawhiu Littleton Rec Centre, and Project Littleton.
no one from over here.
Oh, no, no one took up that opportunity.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right, lovely.
Oh, yes, yeah, thank you. Couple of things to report on. There is a community event happening in Wainuiwi on tomorrow, actually, 8th of October. I'm going to that event, and I would recommend actually if one of our community development advisor attends that event as well. So it would be really good for staff to learn about. So this is a second event. The first happened in O'Kane's Bay, and it was very successful. So it will be good for staff to learn different services and how those rural communities their needs are. Thank you. And thank you, Liz, for organizing that presentation from Chorus. They're going to give a presentation. I have spoken to a number of people over this way, and quite a few have shown their concern about this. To understand it better, I am drafting a survey at some stage, so I'll be sharing that with communities so that they can enter their feedback, so that we can make a better informed discussion and good argument when Chorus gave that presentation. So I'm happy to share with other members if you want to.
Send your community questions to me so that.
It will.
I can say that I can send it to the presenter.
It will be in a survey form so that people can enter, and then I will share it with you. Yeah. Yeah. The questions, responses. Yes. So I'll be doing that. Attended ACRA Health Trust Board AGM, and two issues that pop up quite concerning, and I'm following up on those, and I will report back. One was the lack of mental health support here in Accra, in the West, and growing concern about those issues, especially men not being able to speak about, and the lack of services is major impediment. And the second one is the working relationship with St. John Ambulance Service and Accra Health. So they have got some operational issues that they're working on. I think at some stage we might seek help from Councillor Tyrone and probably engage council at some stage. So I will discuss more when I learn more. Got some good feedback about Better Off Fund allocation recently. Thank you for that. And Accra and the Base Community Resilience Group has drafted their first resilience plan. It's in the draft form and hopefully will be shared towards the end of this month. And I will forward the draft with other members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Good stuff there. Nigel.
Right, hi. A couple of things I attended. One was the Foam 60 AGM, which celebrated the museum's 60th year anniversary, which was well attended, probably about 70 or 80 people there. So that was mostly to do with the really great speakers they had.
One of them wasn't up to scratch.
The TUI project update, that was very, very, very good too, and was well attended, probably about 50 or 60 people there at the Gaiety. There was a great presentation on the data of all the tracking of the tuis and where the concentrations were and how far they've actually spread too, right up into North Canterbury. So that was very, very good. And there was some recognition of some of the key people involved in that project. The French Festival, just to keep up, because the council has a vested interest in that now. I mean, the French Festival's got its new web page up and running, and it's got a countdown by the 2nd down to the next French Festival. We are holding a cabaret, and you can buy the tickets online, and that's quite important as a benchmark. The Akara Heritage Festival Society, which is what the French Festival is run by. The cabaret is at Labour Weekend, coming up in a few weeks. We really want a lot of people there. It's about generating energy. It's about getting sponsorship. It's about having a good time, and it's really pretty much a break-even cabaret to try and get some people focused on the French Festival next year. A couple of things going on around town. I know the swim is okay to swim in the harbour now. There's a lot of digging going on around the town. Pipes being dug up. I'm assuming there's a lot of assumptions being made. It would be really nice to have an update. And because there's also been house-to-house inspections of stormwater around all the houses. So it'd be really good to get an update as to where that's going and the planting of the trees in Robinson's Bay, if that would be possible in the near future. It'd be great. And that's probably about all for me. Thanks.
Brilliant. I think Kathy's probably covered quite a bit of that. That's what happened, the nature of this.
We'll go back to the other one.
Yeah.
But since the last meeting, I do recognise that I did attend a Littleton Port liaison meeting, which was good because it was the first one I'd been able to get to, partly because there was a miscommunication about where the emails were going. But yeah, so that was useful to meet them. I remember one of the issues that did come up was the buses to do with cruise ships, but that's more discussion. And also since then we had the launch of the Black Pearl, the new boat, which several of us went to the launch of.
Yes.
Which was well, it was a very good event and lots of people attended. So yeah, that was good. And they've got their boat, new boat. Yes, and there's this meeting coming up about cruise ships this Friday. On a very local basis, as far as I'm concerned, is some roadworks that have had notice on Quincy Terrace in Littleton, where residents have at times, I know, changed, where the tradespeople are coming or what, because we assumed the whole street would be shut, because that's what it says. That's what it actually still says, that it would be closed last week, but that it wasn't closed at all any of the week in the end. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
There's some odd coordinating going on, isn't there? I think there's probably
and lack of information for residents from it's City Care doing the work apparently.
Yeah, but City Care don't hold the road resurfacing contract for Banks Peninsula.
But their number is on the signs to get information about when the roads are closed.
So it's weird coordinating.
So that's all. The fibre discussion, well, just a bit of more the ability to get more information on that would be quite useful for people too.
Thanks, Lorraine. Sorry.
Good. Some of the things have already been mentioned, but in no particular order. Well, actually, this is probably really important. You all know this, but just to reflect personally, like the city's just appointed a new chief executive, which I think is quite important. They say it's the most important decision the council will make in the term, because obviously not a lot of people realise that the only staff member that councillors really officially get to talk to is the CE.
that doesn't quite work like that in practice, but officially that's how it works. So I think we've got a really good one. So it's I think that's a real win for the city. I recently did a drive around the peninsula. It was very extensive with the local Fulton Hogan team leader around all the unsealed roads around the peninsula. Yeah. I think probably the thing that I realised most about that is, and you, I know I'm going to get a little immediate disagreement here, but they actually how good they are. I was actually blown away by the quality of some of those roads. Not all, but mostly. So
I never get to see them. I don't go.
Oh, we went to some places. That was good, but I feel like, you know, it's yeah, like I think my observation is that they've been managed well. I went on Saturday to the opening of the medical centre extension in Diamond Harbour.
Right,
it was about 200 people there.
Fantastic.
I mean, that's you know, that's all right, isn't it? Yeah. But that, you know, we've obviously granted money to the council have granted money as well, and it's a really good. They've just done some incredible work there. Gillian mentioned the new ferry, the new Diamond Harbour ferry, which is good. I've been doing a lot of liaison recently with ADP, and they've been working quite constructively with Christchurch NZ. So nothing to add there, but I'm just saying that, you know, that I've sort of been engaged in liaising just in terms of, you know, what Christchurch NZ can do for Rākaihautū and other matters. Another Diamond Harbour thing. I also went to a community day over in Diamond Harbour, a resource efficient community day, and where residents in Diamond Harbour were showcasing all the different things that they can do to manage resources effectively. I thought it was really well attended, and you know, people fixing you know, mending clothes and you know, it was just a really good sort of community event. AGM of Foam, Nigel mentioned. I also went to the AGM of the Little River Wairewa Community Trust. Lynn mentioned. They've got a new chair, I believe, Lynn, who some of us will know, Tori Peden. And Nigel mentioned the Tui's on last Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah, Thursday.
So Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust, amazing work they do. Went to the AGM of the Jetty Restoration Trust as well, and so obviously the Governor's Bay Jetty, it's, you know, community asset. They've still got some money to pay off there, but it's something that they're working through. But the next big project to enhance that particular site is the implementation of what's called the boat shed. Yeah. So this is something that I remember, like when I was very new onto community board, which is that the community board I can't remember the exact details, but decided to hold on to and not demolish a historic building, and that's kind of been sitting up on piles and on LPC land for a while. So they're just fundraising to be able to shift that. The Jetty Restoration Trust are currently in the process of fundraising to shift that boathouse from up on blocks up the harbour to Governor's Bay. I wish them luck with that. That's going to be a very interesting project, but one to watch out for. Just some ongoing meetings around Mōpuku Peninsula, if everyone knows that peninsula in Whakaropō, where there's logging activity going on, and just getting good staff engagement here on mitigating some of the impacts, what potential impacts on the harbour through logging activities there. So it's good to see staff are really engaged with that. A ongoing work that I've kind of been tangentially now, the implementation of the potential improvement of Little River walkways and the cycle trail. So that's quite a complex project, but one to watch out for as well. I won't say too much more about that. Went to the opening of Naval Point a few weeks ago as well for the summer season, which was really good. Again, hugely well attended. They fired off the world's smallest cannon to mark that. In one AGM, I didn't make it to because it just wasn't on my radar. It was the Littleton Community Association AGM, but I see that Community Association have been busy in the paper this morning talking about cruise ship impacts on Littleton. I think that I read the article this morning and I felt that it was not correct on a number of things, and especially conflating two separate issues about cruise ship impacts on Littleton, which is that the shuttles moving around the port and buses being overloaded. They're two completely separate issues, and I feel that a lot of work has been done in the background to improve how cruise ship passengers are transported through to Littleton and into the city. I've missed a critical point here, which is that in ECAN's long-term plan, they remove funding for additional buses because they just simply can't afford it. They already had a 24% rates rise. They just can't just pull $1 million out of the year to be able to service cruise ship passengers in Littleton. I think my view is that, and I appreciate that this is public, is that the measures put in place will be enough to be able to resolve any overcrowding or overloading. We have to. There is no overarching entity that decides how cruise ship passengers are managed through Littleton. You've got the port, you've got ECAN, you've got council, you've got the local, the community, cruise ship things, ground handlers. It's like herding cats, right? So to be able to make it work, it's not council ain't going to solve it, ECAN ain't going to solve it. Everyone needs to work together. I'm really, really confident that Christchurch NZ have gone above and beyond and working hard to be able to make that, those particular problems of logistics work as well as they can for the town. They won't get everything right all the time, and agencies will need to adjust. But I don't think it's helpful to scaremonger about what's going to happen during the cruise season, and so we just have to watch it and see. So
what's the difference?
Sorry, Tim, we just have to watch time a little bit today, but maybe you can talk about it last time.
Anyway, there. Yep, thank you.
That's right.
Yep.
Sorry, Tyrone. Please finish up.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, it's frustrating not having a short amount of time to say all the amazing stuff that's going on in the good work. But I know we've got a really good workshop that's going to be happening this afternoon. We want to take a break before then. So
Christchurch NZ have done incredible work around this, as much as anybody could do.
It's been good working with them in the past. So they do the work. Okay, so I would like to close for lunch. Actually, close the meeting.
Sure.
Yes, right, yes, we're closing the meeting. Okay, we'll finish up with the karakia. Here.
Ki te uru tahunui, te wātia kia mama te nākau, te hinana te wairua I te ara takata, kia koira rongo, whakeiri ake ki runga, kia tina, hui e I tai.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.